Hi, everyone, and welcome back to the show. It's great to have you here with me on today's Cabral Concept, our Total Wellness Tuesday show, episode 1698. If you want to watch it on video, head on over to stephencabral.com/1698 or our new YouTube channel just at Stephen Cabral. All right, let's get started. I want to share with you because although I've been working with many people for many years in my practice that suffer from vertigo, lightheadedness, dizziness, faintness, you name it, what I wanted to share with you was actually a personal story that happened to me now a couple months back, but I wanted to make sure I had all the research at hand for you and really share with you the top 10 reasons why people suffer from lightheadedness, dizziness, vertigo, etc. So I went through this myself. I went through the research. I couldn't figure out why I was feeling dizzy. It was the slightest turn of my head, and all of a sudden I would have to hold on to my desk, hold on to my chair. And it wasn't just with standing, because I'll go into that. I used to have Addisons disease. Many of you know that before. I had myalgic encephalomyelitis. I had POTS, so postural orthostatic tachycardia syndrome. I'll explain that in a moment. But what I ended up the reason for my lightheaded dizziness, I'll begin to explain on the show, and it's not for many of the reasons that you've ever heard before. So I had to do some deep, deep discovery to figure out my issues. But remember, as I always tell you, there's always a reason why. We just don't always know the reason. It took me 3 weeks to figure this out. And again, I feel like I've done some work in this field, and it still took me 3 weeks. But here's the nice thing. If you know and you keep hope, right? The last part of the de-stress protocol is success mindset. If you know that you're going to be able to figure this out, then you have hope, and you will be able to figure it out. And so I just want you to understand, whatever you're dealing with right now, maybe you're not dealing with vertigo, maybe you're not dealing with lightheadedness or any of these specific things, I just want you to know, whatever you're dealing with, it has an answer as well. So you'll be able to figure it out. I was able to figure it out for me, and so I'm happy to share some of that with you today. And also what many of the people who didn't have what I did, but they still suffer these same symptoms, because we have to understand is that our symptoms are simply our symptoms, but there can be different underlying root causes. And I'll tell you this, most diseases of the body don't have anything more than about a dozen root causes. And if you work through those dozen root causes, you'll be able to figure it out. I'm going to share with you today exactly how we do this. I follow a methodology I've come up with many, many years ago, which simply looks at how do we remove the variables that may be causing us our de-stress. And that's what we do. So let me go through these today with you one by one, the top 10 reasons of why people can essentially feel dizzy, lightheaded, vertigo, etc. And vertigo means that the body is getting different signals to the brain. Especially, why don't I skip to number 2? Number 2 is an inner ear disorder. Most people think of vertigo as an inner ear disorder, okay? So basically, there are tiny little bones in your ear. There are also calcium crystals in your ear. And what happens is sometimes those can be dislodged a little bit. There can be inflammation. And what happens is you're getting signals from how you hear to how you see. They don't match up, and all of a sudden, your brain can't process, and you start to get dizzy. Well, that's very common for many people, and it can happen with moving the head in the wrong direction. I actually thought that that's what my issue was. So I started to go through, if you've never heard about this before, check out the epley maneuver, the Sermont, or the Samont, the Foster, and the Brandt-Daroff. So the epley is absolutely the most popular one, and it helps many, many people out there. And you can go to see a chiropractor, a muscular therapist, or other people that use these particular maneuvers for inner ear-based disorders. And I was versed enough to know how to do these specifically, so I started to go through them, and I felt like I got some relief, but not really. But it led me to believe that I had an inner ear disorder when really I didn't, but many people do. So you have to understand is that, the reason why I thought I might have it is that I was waking up one morning from a night's sleep, and I actually just stretched my head back, just like that, and I heard a little pop in my neck or in my ear. Nothing, no pain, anything like that. But that morning is when I began to experience the vertigo. And so I said, oh, well, I could have dislodged some of those calcium crystals in my ear that are naturally there. And what happens is when you do something like this epley maneuver, well, it moves them back into place. So again, a lot of success stories around that. So I just wanted to share that with you. Many times it's an inner ear disorder. And you can absolutely find a practitioner that is well-versed in the Epley, Samant, Foster, and Brandt Daroff. I apologize if some of those are not pronounced correctly, but you can definitely look more into them. Remember, the Cabral concept is it really invite you to a deeper level of a healthy lifestyle and really teach you about a lot of these things that you may not know. And in a 22-minute show a day, then you can take it on a deeper level yourself as well. So, okay, the first one that I skipped over was many people experience lightheadedness from a headache or a tension headache or migraine. So just keep in mind that if yours correlates with a migraine or a headache, that could be a main reason for your vertigo or lightheadedness. We'll just call them one and the same today. And keep in mind, though, that has an underlying root cause. And many of the underlying root causes for your headache or migraine are going to be coming up on today's show. So let's skip to the next one. The next one is being dehydrated or low blood volume. Both of those could lead to a headache as well. So essentially, this means that you're not getting enough fluid during the day. This is a nice little water that I get sometimes in Maine. Again, there's just many, many great waters. This specific one I've spoke about before, but it's called Tourmaline Spring. And it's just spring water and has all the minerals in it. But many people, they're just not drinking enough water on a daily basis. So, I just really want people to drink more water, especially good spring water. And it's so good for the body. Remember, it's not just about hydrating every living cell in your body, all 30 to 40 trillion of them, but it's actually about flushing as well. And that's why a lot of that water, your smoothie included, should be consumed really before the first half of your day. You don't have to worry about nighttime urination or any of those things when you're sleeping, because you're actually flushing it because you haven't been drinking any water since you've been asleep and probably a couple hours before bed. So it's like 10 hours, half your day almost, without drinking any water. So make sure we get that in. The next one goes kind of one and the same. You don't want to drink water a lot of the time without those minerals in it. Now, people with high blood pressure or heavy metals, there's protocols that you could use distilled water, and I've actually used them before as well, mostly for people with imbalanced blood pressure, but for sure, higher blood pressure warrants potentially less minerals at the time, because you want to get more specific minerals, which would be potassium and it would be magnesium. But anyway, we'll save that for a separate show and one of my accelerators in the future. So here's the thing. With low blood pressure, I used to have POTS, which is postural orthostatic tachycardia syndrome. Typically goes along with previous high levels of stress, the body being worn out, lower levels, though, of sodium. So people with POTS absolutely need actually more of the opposite of what high blood pressure is. They need more of what low blood pressure needs, and that's calcium and that's sodium. So high calcium foods are fantastic, but also sodium. You need some more pink Himalayan sea salt or Celtic sea salt, rock salt. Any of those are going to really do. And you can add it to your water. For sure, you can add, if you're drinking coffee, you can add a pinch to your coffee, however you want to do it. But really, really important. But a lot of people get low blood pressure, and they're more maybe of the Vata body type. They can get low blood pressure after workout. They could get low blood pressure after a sauna. So just remember, like after my sauna and after my workout, I'm rehydrating with just good old spring water, and I add some Himalayan sea salt to it. I usually use Redmond sea salt, or Redmond salt, sea salt, yes. And then I add lime. So that's my natural Gatorade. I call it my natural Gatorade because I get the potassium from the lime. It's delicious, by the way. And I get the sea salt for my sodium. And so that's a natural, healthy Gatorade. No artificial flavors, no artificial colors. All right. Number 5, the 5th main reason for getting lightheadedness and vertigo is low blood sugar. Okay? And that can cause a headache as well. Low blood pressure, low blood sugar, they can cause headaches, they can cause migraines. There's no doubt about it. So when you get low blood sugar, your body actually goes on the offensive. That's what it does. It puts itself in a survival-based state. So people have to understand that. Like dipping into low blood pressure or low blood sugar is not good. So making yourself fast longer on a daily basis than is good for your body, your bioindividuality, doesn't make you healthier. Like pushing that autophagy for 2 more hours doesn't make you healthier. That's not how things work. Things work based on equilibrium in the body. And if you're constantly making yourself more catabolic, more stressed, trust me, it offsets some of the other benefits. And that's why doing a weekly 1-day fast or a quarterly longer fast is oftentimes better. And yes, you should always be doing intermittent fasting, but pushing it longer than your body can really deal with is not ideal. But anyway, I digress. So just keep in mind that low blood sugar, whether it's in the morning or mid-afternoon are the most common times that are not serving you. So an apple, I'll show you an apple that's sitting here right on my desk right now. If you ever need one, while they're there, they're pretty easy to carry around and it's complete, right? So you can have that anytime you might be feeling a low blood sugar. A second smoothie, maybe a handful of almonds. There's not a whole lot of carbs to them, but there's some good carbs, good protein, good fat. So whatever works for you in the plan that you're on, maybe following it with your integrative health practitioner or naturopathic doctor is fantastic. All right, so keep in mind, blood sugar hypoglycemia can be a reason for headaches. Certainly was for me when I was a child, when I was much younger. All right, poor blood flow and circulation. This is a big one. Here's the thing with this. It can be due to inflammatory factors if you're inflamed. It can be due to arterial-based issues if your arteries are clogged. It can be even due to poor posture. If I sit like this, all slunched over, then I don't get very good blood flow from my carotid artery and other arteries up to my brain. So, or the blood flow, I should say, to my neck as well. This is called the trigeminal area. You've heard me talk about this before. And now that we're on video, we can actually show that. Well, if there's not good blood flow back and forth, what can happen is there can be increased blood flow, not good, or decreased blood flow, not good. You want balanced blood flow. Remember, the body's always trying to achieve equilibrium. So any one of those things can cause, especially a lack of could cause the lightheadedness. The overflow could actually cause migraines. All right, number 8 is this. One of the reasons why you might be feeling lightheaded, dizzy, and fatigued, and even have poor circulation or low mood, thyroid-based issues, is anemia. Okay, people that are anemic oftentimes are low iron, low B vitamins, low vitamin C, and sometimes there are other factors as well, such as copper, magnesium, and calcium. But the bigger factors are the B's, C, maybe some zinc, and definitely iron, right? So we want to look at those. We recommend a brand. I won't mention the brand right now just in case it changes in the future, but it's not an Equilibrium Nutrition brand, but we recommend all the best brands in the world. You can find that at equilibriumnutrition.com. You don't have to purchase it. Remember, this is all about knowledge, and so always feel that you're able to increase your knowledge without even having to purchase from any particular company. That's what I want you to understand. Like, you can do the research, you can look at it, but I'm not a huge advocate of a lot of these iron infusions that people are doing. Iron is a very corrosive substance, which means it creates a lot of oxidation, which means basically it causes your body to rust from the inside out. So we don't want to overdo iron, but we certainly need iron to bring oxygen to our red blood cells, all right? So it's important. So we actually recommend a food-based iron, and then the cofactors, of course, the B's, the C, the zinc, etc. Anyway, you want to look at that, right? And when you run your blood work with your doctor, with your PCP, have them run your TIBC, total iron binding capacity, run your ferritin, your transferritin, and you can run a few other factors as well. I've spoken about this before on what blood work to run with your doctor. But even if you just run those, then that's fantastic, and you're going to be able to look at ferritin versus TIBC. All right, so because you want to make sure that you're not low or borderline low, even if you're not out of range, on iron. And a lot of women actually become lightheaded and dizzy during the last trimester of their pregnancy, and it's because they've become anemic. That's so common the last 90 days, 100 days of a woman's pregnancy. So just keep in mind, we always just kind of prophylactically, we use that, we use the iron-based, natural iron-based product before that even happens. So we like to start that typically around the second trimester to make sure that as women are creating even more red blood volume, that we're also increasing that iron as well for mom and baby. All right, number 9 is this. I'm telling you right now, stress and anxiety can absolutely cause lightheadedness. There's just no doubt about it. I've seen it over and over in my practice. When people start to get deep into that fight or flight sympathetic nervous system, things start to lock up. Vasodilation does not happen in all areas, okay? That's kind of a common misconception. Your body vasodilates the areas that need more blood flow and vasoconstrict to other areas, plus the breathing gets much more shallow, or people hold their breath, leading to lightheadedness, vertigo, any one of those things. And so if you're feeling anxiety, if you're feeling overwhelmed, breathe. Right? Breathe in through your nose, out through your mouth. One of the reasons why they say breathe into a brown paper bag is so that you're actually not breathing in. You're getting more carbon dioxide in because you're recycling your own air. And if there's more carbon dioxide in your blood, which we learned from Dr. J and we learned from Patrick, that you are actually going to then have more oxygen in the tissues, right? Because they're going to preserve more oxygen. So ground yourself, breathe in through your nose, out through your nose or out through your mouth, longer breath in and a shorter breath, a shorter breath in and a longer exhale, okay? So you want to just kind of calm the body, right? Calm the body. 3 seconds in, 5 seconds out, okay? Or even if you just want to do box breathing, which I love, which is basically 4 seconds in, 4 second hold, 4 seconds out, 4 second hold and repeat. That's great, but just make sure you breathe, right? That's the bottom line. Breathe when stressed, okay? Calm your body. Use some of that. Actually, it's going to be coming up on this Friday review, this Friday's podcast, Pico breathing. Definitely check that out as well. Okay, so next up and last up is food sensitivities. Food sensitivities can create histamines. Histamines can create headaches. Histamines can create migraines. Histamines could create inflammation, which can cause, cytokine-based reactions, which can cause lightheadedness as well. It is a common food sensitivity too. After I went through all of these different steps for myself, and again, going over it, like, what is it? What is this? Because I'm eating basically the same things every day. I'm like, okay, this isn't it. What new things did I add in? I took out any new supplements I had added in. Again, that's how we figure things out. And I wasn't getting better. And I had to really look at, like, what is going on? And so I cut out coffee in the morning because I said, you know what? Caffeine might have just caught up with me. That's the bottom line. The bottom line is that sometimes things that were okay with you before are not okay with you in the future. We all have to understand that. What is good today may not be good tomorrow. And so I said, listen, I know that I'm more prone to being a little bit more amped up. All right, I'll put that nicely. So I don't need caffeine for energy. Now, again, this is the craziest thing that I'm saying that today, because you're talking and looking at someone that had Addisons disease 20 plus years ago when they were 17 years old, which is the lack of being able to produce cortisol. Your adrenals just simply are not pumping out what they're supposed to be pumping out because of HPA axis dysfunction. So I had no energy, no ambition, no drive, no vitality. I was what I refer to as the walking dead. I was a zombie. My brain didn't even wake up till 11 a.m. I could barely function. I could fall asleep all day long at a moment's notice, yet I couldn't fall asleep at night. I was a complete insomniac. It was an awful way to live. I wish it on no one. Now, here I am today, finding out my answers, which were many, and completely well and healthy. And I don't even need coffee for energy, but I enjoy it. And so I call it my one vice. Now, there are benefits to coffee too, but I'm not a coffee body type, so I certainly don't need all those benefits that come along with that, but I enjoy it. And it's like, I've taken it up many times and I'm like, but why? This is something that you enjoy. It's a warm beverage, or sometimes during the summertime for a couple months. Summer only lasts 3 months here in New England maximum. What I was doing was this. I was getting a cold brew coffee, which I very much enjoy, and it's an iced coffee. And I'm not going to name the place I was getting that. And I was getting coconut milk in it because I just don't do cow's milk dairy. And so I said, you know what? I'm just going to cut it out. The caffeine can cause lightheadedness in people. So I didn't even put that on the list. Keep in mind, caffeine can cause increased anxiety, fight or flight. So it's kind of on the list, and it can definitely cause lightheadedness. So I said, you know what? Caffeine could be causing it. Here's what happened. I cut out the caffeine. 2 days later, no dizziness at all. None at all. Okay, it's gone. Okay, so it's not an inner ear disorder. It's not low blood pressure. It's not low blood sugar. I mean, I was testing my blood sugar. It was fine. I was testing my BP. It was fine. So I'm like, well, I don't know what it is. That was basically it. That was the change. So I cut out coffee and I said, you know what? I'm going to do decaf only. And, I still enjoy it. I'm just going to do decaf. If it's a food sensitivity, I'll cut it out too. So I did decaf and was having no issues. And so then I said, well, you know what? I've been fine for a week. Let me really test this out to see if it is coffee. So I made my own coffee at home and I just put some macadamia nut milk in it and totally fine. So I said, okay, I'm good. I don't know. I feel totally fine. I added it back in. Maybe it was a fluke. Maybe I just wasn't feeling well and the caffeine was affecting me. If it affects me again, I'll take it back out because I always like to test my theories, right? But the vertigo is completely gone. Well, I go back to this coffee shop that I was enjoying going to. I like supporting small businesses. That's I don't know. Call me crazy. I've had my own small business since basically the year 2000, officially in 2003, 2004, and I like supporting small business. So anyway, I go to this coffee shop again, and I get I don't drink big coffees, but I got a coffee, and I got it with coconut milk because they had coconut milk, and that's the one that I prefer if I'm out someplace. Well, all of a sudden, started getting lightheadedness drinking that coffee that morning, and I said, well, I know that it's not coffee decaf. I know that it's not regular coffee that I make at home. Is it this company's coffee or is it the coconut milk? So again, testing variables, testing theories. I go back the next day and I said, black coffee, no coconut milk. So I have that, same iced coffee, and I drink it, no issues. Do it the next day, no issues. Go back, do the coconut milk. A little bit, nothing really. Go back the next day again, repeat it. Coconut milk, all of a sudden now, and the vertigo, because sometimes it doesn't happen the very first time. So it's the coconut milk. The coconut milk was causing me vertigo, lightheadedness, not just a little bit either, like nausea. I would feel nauseous when I moved my head. It was terrible. So I can totally empathize with people with vertigo and lightheadedness. Now, this is the crazy thing. The coconut milk, either with the coffee or any even though this is organic coconut milk or whatever the preservatives are in there, does not react well with my body. Can most people have coconut milk and not have any issues? Absolutely. Have I put coconut cream in my smoothie, a tablespoon worth, hundreds of times? Absolutely. So is it this specific coconut cream, like milk, in coffee, or is it with coffee? Well, here's the thing. It doesn't matter because I'm done testing. I don't want any more vertigo. So here's what I did. Black cold brew coffee, if I drink that, or just the black coffee that I was drinking anyways, or put a little bit of my mac nut milk in it. So I just wanted to share that with you. Again, you can figure out every issue in life, and sometimes it's not easy. I went through all the different variables. I was using a glucometer. I was using my blood pressure monitor. I was doing the epley maneuver. I was making sure I wasn't dehydrated. I was putting I was using my salt stick and my minerals again. Like I was doing all of these different things. And I said, you know what? I've done all of them and it's still not working. What else is there? What else is there? And it was the coconut milk. So I can laugh about it now, just like I can laugh about all the other issues that I've had because now I've overcome it. Why I wanted to share this with you today is, again, there are many people that are feeling dizzy, lightheaded, vertigo, etc. And I can assure you, look at gut function, look at sometimes fungal infections in the air, although a lot more rare. There's always an answer. And again, if you're looking for a place to start, you can work with our private health coaching team at equilibriumnutrition.com. You can do a free lab selection call as to what lab should I run, or you can simply follow the advice I gave you here today, which is completely free. And you can just begin to work those steps. So hopefully this was helpful. Thank you so much for tuning into the show. I appreciate you. And be sure to tune in tomorrow for another Cabral concept. Take care, everybody.